You should say that too at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That reminds me, I think when I set up the lunar one, I did not hit record.
Oh, no problem.
I can look.
I think we can change that before
Yeah.
or even during.
Okay, I did record it. Good morning, Dr. Leahy.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Sitting on my porch.
That's
There you
nice.
go.
Okay, Director Leahy, if you hear me, do you want me to start your video for you or do you want me to keep it off?
Oh, I'm just on my cell phone. I'll start it in a second.
Okay, no problem.
I haven't used it on this cell phone.
There we go. You're
Yeah, no,
your first committee member to join.
yeah. No, I'll walk around. That's all right. It'll be interesting tomorrow.
So I'll announce this before the committee meeting, but just so you know as well, Director Leahy, the meeting is being recorded as of right now. So as soon as you join, I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
It announced it.
Oh, great, good. Glad that worked. Kirk.
Hi there.
Don't know if he wants to. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, hanging in there.
Yeah. It's been an interesting finish of the session. So I'm a quorum of one, huh?
Yeah, so far.
Everybody's commute should be not an excuse today.
Right.
I was coming back from Sacramento yesterday and I saw a 42A bus coming across the causeway with absolutely no one in it at about 7:30 last night.
Yeah, we're having challenges all over with that. We actually set up a plan for our Yuba Sutter Transit to transition from where we expect to be real soon.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes actually zero fares and, you know,
What percent?
you can't take it away. So we lost 70% of ridership on the first couple days.
Yeah, is that right? Wow.
Yeah. It was at 60, then it jumped to 70. So
Yeah. It's a challenge, right? I mean, you can't take away people's ability to get around. On the other hand, if you have buses that, you know, have 2 people in them.
well, it's interesting because dealing with crises like this is something we do. And I've had 4 of them. And this is enough.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning, Mike.
Morning.
How you hanging in there?
Well, we're here.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. People's hair are on fire. They're freaking out.
Yep. How are things at Beale?
Not bad. Actually, pretty calm. They've locked down their commissary just twice now.
Mm.
And the BX got shut down.
Mm.
How's the county staff doing telecommuting, Mike? There's an article in the Sacramento Bee this morning about challenges at Sacramento County.
Yeah, well, we got the human factor. We went from 600 regular employees, about 670 regular employees. We're down to about 199 active right now, about 200. And I think the challenge is people just, well, the federal government made some changes that are just crazy. So some of them are a wee bit freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
I got like 4 different devices that all have Zoom on it. So tomorrow we're going to have a water agency meeting at the same time as this GSAC. So I'll be like this.
Really interesting.
Well, I've used Zoom for about 7 years now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
God, I didn't even know they'd been around that long.
Yeah. We started using them for our leadership development team. And so we'd have team building meetings in leadership on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way you could do it when you have people from 7 or 8 different states.
Yeah. So Eric, I know you're probably most familiar with all the technology. Are there any others? What are the other best kind of web meeting applications? Cisco WebEx or?
Cisco WebEx, some use. I think it's better on a huge enterprise level. It's pretty complicated. It can be complicated. I think Zoom is what most small and mid-sized organizations are using.
Seems like WebEx is good when you have materials or whiteboards or other interactive activities you're trying to bring into a meeting, huh?
Yeah. We can do that on here, though.
Yeah, it has all the same features. It's just the cost.
Yeah.
What I found is the great thing about Zoom is the owners of the company will work with you if you're in need. So
They must be getting a few questions these days.
yeah, it's a matter of since SACOG started using Zoom, I'm finally getting the leverage to have our county use it. They're still using the phone go to meeting thing,
Mm.
Huh.
and that.
There we go.
Morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
Robbie.
All right. Wait for everybody to get situated, huh? Oops.
How are you doing, Bonnie?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are all y'all? Nice to see you on a Monday morning, I think. I'm actually glad it's Monday. It was a crazy weekend.
Really?
Oh, just family stuff.
Oh,
Parents getting old, not so much fun.
yeah.
So anybody else do anything interesting this weekend? Anything, I mean, y'all stayed home, but anything fun at home or got out on the trails and walked or anything like that?
I had a 60th birthday party for my wife.
That's right.
And
How many people were you able to bring in virtually?
well, we had about 20 people, and then I had reached out and had asked people to give video greetings, and it turned into like a 50-minute video of greetings from all over the country and actually around the world. It was really, really special. So yeah, it was cool.
And then she can keep that for a very long time, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and I had sent
Super.
cakes. I sent cakes. I had cakes delivered to everyone in her nuclear family, so that we could all light the candles and sing together. It was fun.
Talk about being creative. That's great. I love it.
Doing the best I could. You know, it's a big time, and it was sad to have to do it this way, but I think it turned out great. It was fun.
Great. Let's see. Oh, it's just now we're probably getting a few more people to get on.
Morning, Director Douglas.
Good morning,
Morning, Kim.
Coffee and Colfax.
Oh, look at that. We have a flag that you can project for the pledge. That's awesome, Eric.
Innovation.
Huh. Well, if we stand up, you're not going to see our faces.
It'll take over, so I think, yeah.
What, 1, 2, only 3 directors right now, correct?
That's right.
All right. Wait a few more minutes, because what's the number we need for quorum?
5.
5, okay. Hey, Eric, did you get my email question earlier?
No, let me pop over there.
Okay,
You sent it today?
this morning. Right.
I don't see any emails from you this morning.
Well, I will. Thought it got sent. Thought I checked it too, and I was like surprised that you wouldn't have responded just because that's not like you. Let's do this again. Had we heard from others, Renee? Do you know who else was planning to join us?
Yes, I know that Chair Frericks plans to join us, Director Saragosa, and then our Vice Chair Stallard as well. So I'm waiting to see if their names are popping up. And then I'll promote them so you can see their video and hear their voices, but I haven't seen their names yet.
Okay, well, I'll give people a few minutes. If you're like me and it's just about 10 o'clock, then you got to figure out how to get on correctly.
Right.
Okay, Chair Frericks is here, so I'm going to move him over.
Nice. There we
Good
go.
morning.
Yes. Is that a Star Trek ship?
No,
Background.
it's the Millennium Falcon. Come on.
Or words, sorry.
Oh my gosh, Star Trek.
I knew if I said it wrong, it would drive you crazy. That's awesome. Star something.
It's basically the best feature of Zoom.
Yeah.
You know, the question for you really is, were you even alive, Lucas, when the original one came out? Because I was, but I don't know, you're younger than I am, and I was only about 10 years old.
I was not.
All right, that makes the rest of us feel a lot older.
True confessions.
Okay, there's the Starship Enterprise there.
Okay, thank you very much, Kirk.
You guys aren't right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Uh-oh, Mike's going to show us something.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
No.
We're like on the road show, road trip.
Okay, Director Stallard, I just moved over to a panelist as well.
Yeah, I was trying to do that too. Sorry.
If anyone who's on the phone is a director, if you could just press *9 to indicate that you should be participating as a member of the committee, let us know. Okay, let's see, how do we, okay, all right, hello, who's that, who's on the phone?
Hey, this is Michael Saragosa.
Oh, hi.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so we have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 6 of us. All right, then why don't we go ahead and get started. If anyone else joins us, we can do that. And so let's do this appropriately. So good morning, everyone. I'm going to pull up my agenda. Welcome to the March 30th meeting of the Policy and Innovation Committee of SACOG. And we will begin. Actually, so can we begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, Eric? You said you
Yes.
had a flag.
Can you see that?
Nice. Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
let's do that and stand up because I think I should. And we'll go ahead and I'll just lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you, everyone. All right. And with that, we'll toggle back and forth. We're going to start with the roll call, please.
Yes, and just you may have heard when you began, but this committee meeting is being recorded. Directors Allard, absent. Douglas,
50 miles away, but present.
thank you. Frericks,
Here.
Kozlowski, absent Leahy,
Here.
Lozano, absent Saragosa,
Here.
Vice Chair Stallard. Okay, I was wondering if you might be having trouble because I see his name, but I haven't heard him talk yet.
Wonder. Let's see.
So he's on, but I don't know if you can see any troubleshooting, Eric. I don't see anything on my end.
I'll just try sending him a note.
Okay. And then Chair Gore.
Here. And if we don't hear from Tom, do we still have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Maybe if anybody does have his text number, maybe somebody can text him as well and see if.
Yeah, I'm texting him right now.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lucas. All right, so then with that, here, good roll call. We have a quorum. This is time for public communications. It does not look like we have anybody unless we received any emails ahead of time. So we will close public comment and we'll move to the consent agenda. I would like to pull item number 2 because I've got a question about that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just for the roll, Director Allard was an attendee and he's now a panelist, so it reflect
Good.
that.
Oh, great.
Minutes.
Good. Okay, great. Glad you're here, John. Good morning. Okay, so we will. All right, so I was interested in moving item number 2 off of the consent calendar because I've just got a question. Anyone else want to move an item off the consent agenda? All right, so with that, if somebody would like to make a motion.
I would move the consent calendar minus item 2. This is for.
I'll second it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and I didn't hear who seconded it. Maybe Mr.
That was me.
This is Michael.
All right. And so then do you want to go ahead and do, probably best to do it that way?
Yes.
Okay, let's do a roll call, please.
Okay, Directors Allard. Okay, absent Douglas,
Yes.
Frericks,
Yes.
Kozlowski, not here. Leahy,
Yes.
Lozano is not here. Saragosa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Stallard, cannot hear him, and then Chair Gore.
Yes, thank you. So the question I had, and this is item 2, and it's just about the regular increases for staff, which I'm certainly, the MOU, I'm not opposed to that. I just want to bring up the question of, I think it's about $160,000. And with the things that are going on with the coronavirus, I just want to make sure that, one, we anticipate that we have those dollars for this next year, and 2, in the MOU, I'm guessing, and you can clarify whether or not there's a provision in the MOU if some unforeseen circumstances happen that we might have to address salaries in the future. So,
Sure.
James, if you could address that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I can start on that. So Director Gore and members of the committee. So as the item mentions, there's a 5-year MOU that's in place right now that this is derived from. There is a scale of the cost of living, which is based on what happens in December. And so this increase right now is based on that. The funds are budgeted in the draft budget, and so our finance director, Loretta, can speak to that in a couple minutes about kind of what we're anticipating in terms of the possible economic impacts of the current COVID crisis on our budget for the upcoming year. But we do have the ability to revisit this with the SACOG Employees Association should there be further fiscal issues. Just in terms of reference, point of reference, when we had the Great Recession several years ago, the Employees Association entered into two special arrangements outside of the bargaining process to basically go to no COLA as a result of the economic impacts on SACOG at that time. So that's kind of a short overview of what we have. We anticipate the funds are going to be in the budget for the year that starts in July. And we do have options for revisiting this should there be further tax that aren't anticipated.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful. I appreciate it. Does anybody else have any questions? All right, and then have to open this up to the public, so I'll open up to the public. But I don't think we have anybody on the line, so I can close public comment and we can move forward. Anyone like to make a motion?
This is Michael. I'll move the item.
I will second it.
All right, so we have a motion by Michael, second by the other Michael, Mike. And let's do roll call, please.
Okay, Director Allard. So just Director Allard is typing on the side, so I can if he does vote yes, I will note it in the record.
Okay,
Director Douglas.
Yes.
Frericks.
Yes.
Kozlowski. Not here. Leahy.
Yes.
Lozano. Not here. Zaragoza.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stallard.
So actually, Tom is on the line. Let me just, he's typing, he says yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And then Chair Gore.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know, I've got John Allen on the line as well.
Yeah, Bonnie, just one second. So Tom said, I can hear you guys, but I'm on the phone, but am I blocked on your end? And I just said, it shows that he's here, but we can't hear him. So he says, if he has a comment, he's just gonna text to share it unless it can be worked out, so.
Could he possibly give me the last 2 digits of his phone number so I can promote him that way?
Assuming he called on his cell phone, but I mean, I'm sure he can hear you, so hopefully.
Is it 06? Okay. We have the directors received a special invitation, so that's why he's not here. Oh, here, I see Stallard there.
It's 06.
Yeah, 06 is.
Okay, how about that? All right.
No, here's the number he gave me. Actually, is 4680 is the last 4 digits.
Okay. All right. Okay. How about that?
He's texting something to me.
Tell him to take it off mute.
Yeah, I see he's got the mute on there.
Okay.
Wait, sorry. All right, hold on. All right, he says that, no.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
I fired up my iPad. Thank you, everybody. Sorry.
No.
Such an effort.
We'll get through it.
Great, thank you, Tom. All right, and I think John Allard, we might have the same problem, but he's texting me, so, and he's going to try to type in his responses, so if need be, he can connect with me. All right, let's move on to then item 4.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I just want to check. Renee, did you record all the votes on that item number 2?
I did, yes.
Okay. So we can move on to item 4, which is to approve the draft budgets and overall work program for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Okay, I'm moving Loretta over to a panelist. Are you there, Loretta?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry. Okay. And then can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let me just get my screen started here. So as So this item is, so staff developed the draft budget and OWP for fiscal year 2021. So this item is seeking board approval to release for public comments. And I just want to point out that
I'm sorry, Loretta.
Oh, sorry.
We're actually not seeing your screen share. We're just seeing your video.
Okay.
Try the screen share again.
Let's try that again. Can you see my screen now?
No, Loretta, I'm gonna try. I have a copy of it. I'm gonna try to do that right now.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Receive?
It worked.
Great.
Okay. So, so sorry about that. So I want to point out, so this budget, draft budget was developed prior to the significant public health crisis of the COVID-19. So the revenue projections are based on the information available at the time when we developed the budget. So at this point, we don't know the impact and the financial impact and the revenue projections that would impact SACOG operations at this point yet. So as informations become available, we will bring that to the board. So there's two ways that we will be doing that. If there's additional information available before we adopt the budget in May, staff will include any new revenue projections, and that will be included in the May adopted budgets. If the information is available after the budget is adopted in May, staff will prepare budget amendments throughout the year as necessary if there's any changes to the revenue projections. Next slide, please. So SACOG, as a federally designated MPO, is required to develop a budget and OWP annually. The purpose of the OWP is to define the continuing, comprehensive, and coordinated metropolitan planning process for the 6-county Sacramento regions. The OWP includes activities related to transportation, air quality, and other regional planning objectives. And the OWP is also served as SACOG annual blueprint for the agency use of resources for the fiscal year 2021. The OWP is mainly funded with formula federal-based federal and state revenue source, and it also funded with discretionary grants and contract funds. Annually, SACOG is required to submit a draft of the OWP to Caltrans and federal agencies for review and comments. And staff has submitted a copy to the agency on February 28th. And I just received an email that we received some comments back. So those comments will be incorporated in the final OWP draft that will be going to the board. Next slide, please. SACOG is managing two budgets annually. The first one is the operation budgets, and the second one is the board and advocacy budgets. The operation budgets include all the overall work program activities, includes Capital Valley Regional SAFE, any use of managed funds that is committed for projects, and capital asset budget and other local activities. Next one, please. So for the fiscal year 2021, the revenue projections are estimated to be 26.2 million. We anticipate a decrease of approximately 2.9 million compared to fiscal year 1920. Here's the breakdown of the revenue by categories. So we anticipate receiving approximately 33% of the revenue from the federal government, approximately 31% from the state, 20% from locals, this is mainly the TDA funds, and approximately 11% from service to other, this is mainly SAFE, and then the miscellaneous 5% revenue. In the attachment A, it shows a comparison of revenue by funding source compared to fiscal year 1920. That is included in the package. And also attachment C is the OWP revenue by funding source. And then attachment D is the allocation of revenue by the projects and activities for the fiscal year. Next slide, please. Here's kind of like a summary of expenditures for the year. So we anticipate about the total expenditures to be about 25.2 million compared to 26.9 million in fiscal year 1920. These are the categories of expenditures. Staff costs make up about 41% of the total budgets. Pass-through costs is approximately 35%. Consulting costs is about 11%. And overhead and other direct costs is about 6% each here. If you include in the package, attachment B is a summary of revenue and expenditures. And then also attachment E is an expenditure by projects that has more information, breakdown of each project and the type of expenditures that is included for each project. Next one, please, Renee. Thank you. And then here's an overview of the board and advocacy budgets. Total budgets for fiscal year 2021 is approximately 828,000. This reflects a 71,000 increases compared to prior year. This is mainly the increase related to the membership dues that was approved by the board in March of this year. And here's a summary breakdown of the various category of the board and advocacy budgets. Staff costs is about 45%. This mainly is for advocacy and technical assistant work. Board expenses is approximately 11%. Advocacy effort is about 26%. And then partnership is 18%. Attachment H is a summary of board and budgets. So here's what we're expecting for the, oh, sorry. You could go to the next slide. Thanks, Renee. Sorry about that. So the next step is, as I mentioned, recommending the board to review the draft budget and also release the draft budget for public comments in April. Based on comments received from Caltrans, the federal agency, and other comments received during the public review period, staff will prepare a final draft budget and OWP for board approval in May. Once the board approves the adopted budget, we will be submitting that to Caltrans and other federal agencies and expecting their approval by end of June to begin the operation of next fiscal year. With that, I'm going to open up to see if there's any questions related to the budgets.
Great, thank you so much for the overview, appreciate it. Any questions from directors? All right, and then we need to open this up to the public. No, but I don't think we have any public online, so we can close public comment.
Madam Chair, we
Yes,
don't have anyone who's raised their hand, but there are public that you may not be able to see on your screen. So we have 20 other people listening in.
Okay.
So if anyone is called in, they can press *9 to raise their hand to make a public comment, or they can use the chat feature. But so far, we've not received any of those.
Great. Well, then we can just, as Eric said, *9 if anybody wants to make a comment. Wait for a moment if there is a comment there. And probably not. So, all right. Thank you very much. We can close public comment. And with that, what is the will of the board?
Stallard, move approval of the budget as recommended.
Do we have a second?
I second.
I think that was Michael Leahy. All right,
Good.
we have a motion and a second, and let's do a roll call, please.
Yes. Directors Allard. So Allard is a yes. He typed in the comment section. Douglas.
Yes.
Frericks.
Yes.
Kozlowski is absent. Leahy.
Yes.
Lozano is absent. Zaragoza.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stallard.
Yes.
And Chair Gore.
Yes, great, thank you very much. Next, we will move on to our informational items. The first one is the Innovative Mobility Accelerator Program update.
Okay, I'm just moving Adrian in as a panelist.
Good morning. Before I begin, I just want to make sure, Chair Gore, that you can hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Adrian Moretz, I manage the Accelerator programs at SACOG today. I just wanted to provide a quick update on where we are with our Innovative Mobility Accelerator. So I'll briefly talk about the program itself, an overview of it, and then I'll talk about the applications we received. I'll briefly go over our review process for those applications and then talk about what we've discussed in terms of programmatic next steps, where we plan to go with the program as a whole. So the Accelerator is a part of the Innovative Mobility Program that the board adopted last fall. This is a $3 million total program, and half of that budget, or $1.5 million, is dedicated to implementing Accelerator projects for the Innovative Mobility Accelerator. So about half the budget is dedicated to implementing projects that come out of this program. The Accelerator is modeled after the work we've done the past few years in Civic Lab, taking best practices from our startup and tech accelerators and working with cross-sector teams from around the region to develop and launch pilot projects. So this year, we're again focused on innovative mobility and how we really solve transportation challenges in the region with innovative mobility solutions. So if you remember, we brought to you an update in February that we were releasing the application period throughout the month of February. That closed at the end of February, and we have been reviewing the applications throughout the month of March and currently. So we received 21 total applications representing 5 of our 6 counties. We received several new applications that had not participated in either year of the program thus far at Civic Lab. So 4 of the 21 total applications were what we call free agents. So those are individuals who want to support project teams, and they're not project team applications themselves. So of the 17 remaining applications, I'll just briefly mention the jurisdictions who applied. In Sacramento County, we saw applications from Ileton, Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Folsom, and 2 applications from the city of Sacramento. In Yolo County, we received applications from the city of West Sacramento and from YCTD, Yolo County Transportation District, for a challenge in the city of Winters. In El Dorado County, we received an application from El Dorado Transit, and Placer County from the city of Roseville and the town of Loomis, and in Yuba County from the city of Marysville. We also received some applications that were not from a local jurisdiction lead. So those are Paratransit Inc., the 50 Corridor Transportation Management Association, 2 applications from Sacramento Regional Transit, and finally, a representative from an academy in Northern Sacramento. So we're really happy and excited with the geographic and transportation challenge diversity. And I think it's really exciting that we get to see some new applicants that have not participated in either year of Civic Lab or have not participated in this accelerator style process. So on to the review part of these applications. We're working with an internal review team of SACOG staff to review each of these 17 project team applications. Our original intent was to review these applications throughout the month of March and then bring you the selected project teams by today's committee meeting. But due to changing environment and our local jurisdictions responding to their pressing community needs, we've decided to just push that out a few short weeks. We really just want to give our jurisdictions more time and not pressure them to fit within the end of March timeframe that we had originally set out. So to detail what that review process looks like is we did an initial review for eligibility and compliance, and then we had a larger internal review team of SACOG staff look at each application and develop questions and comments for a subsequent phone interview or call with our project team applicants. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're setting up those phone calls and having those conversations with our project teams. And then after that, we'll take those notes and do a final review with our internal review team. And then we likely will bring the selected project teams to you by the board meeting this month. So only a few weeks off schedule from our original timeline. And just to briefly go over what we're looking for in these project teams as we're going through this selection process and review process. Pilot ability is what we're calling a big part of it, right? We want to see that we can put projects on the ground and something can come out of the team after they participate in this program. So can a project actually materialize after they participate? We also want to ensure that the applicants and the selected project teams can meet one of the 4 focus areas we initially set out, which were that they focused their work in commercial corridors in a suburban or rural area, for one of our underrepresented populations or in a disadvantaged community. We also want to ensure that our team makeup is complete. Do we have the right stakeholders and implementers as part of that project team? And we at SACOG are working with the applicants to ensure that they have the right project team on board, and we can help facilitate that. We want to ensure, especially for those applications who don't have a local jurisdiction as a lead, a project team lead, that they are involved and actively working with the local jurisdiction. And we want to ensure that if this innovation or challenge has already been addressed, that we would learn something new from a project that would come out of this program. So moving on to the Accelerator program itself, we're trying to be considerate and responsive to our local jurisdictions and our applicants and listen to what their needs are as we move into the coming months when we had planned to launch this Accelerator program. So we're hearing thus far from our project team applicants what matches up what we internally have discussed, which is that there is real value in the in-person program, and we want to continue it as planned. It just may start a bit later than our original start date of April, since we are mostly working online now. So what that means is in between the time that we have selected the project teams when we get to the project the Accelerator launch, there'll be a gap in time there. So we're prepared and have talked with our applicants about offering online engagements in that interim. So that could be question and answer sessions. It could be engagements or webinars with alumni from the previous 2 years of Civic Lab. And we're also building a really strong relationship and partnership with Sac State. Sac State has an innovation and entrepreneurship program that offers a virtual toolkit series right now. And so we are plugging in all of our applicants to that, whether or not they become one of our selected project teams. So it really gives an opportunity for us to have some online engagements until we can get to the in-person program. So we'll continue to bring you updates on the Accelerator itself. We're so excited with the progress we're making, and we look forward to starting the in-person program. Again, we anticipate that we'll have the selected project teams by the board meeting this month. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate the update. Any questions from directors? I have one quick question, Adrian. You said
Yes.
there are 21 applications. Do you have a sense of how many it might get narrowed down to as far as total numbers that participate?
Thank you, Director Rohr. That's a good question. And we internally as staff did not set a specific amount of project teams we wanted to pull through. In the first year of the program, we had 9 original teams, which went down to 8. And then in the last year of the program, we had 12 project teams. So we're not opposed to a certain number. I think it'll likely be less than 10 project teams. mostly because we're trying to accelerate the timeline of this program to be a 12-week program instead of a 6 or 12-month program. So for us to make that be the best possible program we can for the project teams, it'll be easier for us to have less teams. However, we're in our discussions with the teams seeing if any of the project teams match up and they could pair together, or what that relationship might look like amongst the teams. So I don't have a firm answer yet. I think it'll likely be less than 10 feasibility wise, but we don't have a specific number in mind yet.
All right, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from directors? Or questions now from the public? I think it's *9, or somebody can do a Zoom chat if there are any comments from the public. Give it a moment. All right, probably not. Great. Thank you very much. That's just an information only item, so we appreciate the update, Adrienne. Great job, good work. Keep it up while we're doing work differently from home. Next, we have item number 6, which is our advocacy update. And Christina, you are up.
Thank you very much. So I want to provide a state and federal update. I want to start first with the federal update. As I'm sure you are very well aware, Congress has passed 3 federal relief acts related to COVID-19. Just a quick overview, March 6th, the president signed the first emergency package totaling about $8.3 billion. And this included $1 billion in public health funding for state and local preparedness grants, and it increased funding options for small business loans. On March 18th, the president signed the second measure, and this measure focused on testing, food assistance, Medicaid protections, unemployment aid, and paid sick leave and protections. And then just on Friday, on March 27th, President Trump signed the third and largest measure, which included $2.2 trillion plus in spending for businesses, individuals, and state and local and tribal governments. This includes $114 billion in federal aid to the transportation sector, including $25 billion for transit and funding for Amtrak. For this transit funding, the bill uses existing formula programs to distribute the funding. The funding is for operating expenses. So while it goes through traditional funding programs, the money explicitly can be used for operating expenses, and it must be distributed within 7 days, and it does not require a local match. For Amtrak, the bill provides, $492 million for the Northeast Corridor and $526 million for the national network. But Amtrak has the authority to transfer amounts between those 2 accounts. And the bill provides relief to states which may not be able to afford their payments for state-supported services. And it provides funding to Amtrak to cover those lost state payments. Under the bill, a state is not required to pay Amtrak more than 80% of the amount paid in fiscal year 2019. And then additionally, $239 million is set aside from the national network funding for use to for the states to help pay for any payments that the state cannot make. Both chambers have closed down after passing this third bill last week. The Senate has announced it plans to return April 20th unless something dictates an earlier return. The House does not have a set date for returning. However, there are already talks about a 4th bill, and so depending on the response and how quickly that's put together, the House will respond. On the state side, the legislature last met 2 weeks ago on Monday, March 16th. They focused on measures related to the COVID-19 outbreak and passed 2 funding bills. The measures that they passed are outlined in the staff report as well as attachments to those pieces of legislation. The first bill appropriates $500 million from the general fund for any purpose related to the governor's March 4th proclamation of emergency in response to COVID-19. And this amount may be increased in increments of $50 million with a total allocation up to $1 billion. And there are legislative notice requirements for the funding, so the governor does have to notify the legislature 72 hours before spending any of this funding. The second funding bill was focused on schools. and ensuring that school funding during the school closures continues to happen. It also appropriated $100 million for schools for labor and supplies related to protective equipment and cleaning. The other measure that jointly passed was a resolution recessing the legislature from March 20th through April 13th. This time period does include a previously scheduled recess, a week for recess for spring break. The recess can end early or it can be extended depending on the circumstances, and both houses adjourned after their floor sessions on March 16th, effectively starting the recess that week. Finally, the Senate did pass measures to allow senators to participate remotely during state and local emergencies. The Assembly has not established such procedures, and so there is a question as to what is going to happen next. Will the legislature have to return to vote in person? The Assembly has not set up procedures, so likely they will have to. There's a question about what will happen on the Senate. The reason the legislature was able to act so quickly was an exception to the rule that bills must be in print for 72 hours before final action. The Constitution states that this 72-hour print rule can be waived if the bill is necessary to address a state emergency and with 2/3 vote of the legislature. And so the bill was written obviously very quickly and was not in print 72 hours before they voted. Moving forward, there's obviously lots of questions about what this year is going to look like for the state legislature. The state Dem caucus has told members to start thinking about what their priority bills are. And the Senate budget chair has told members that they need to narrow their budget asks and be thoughtful in what state funding they're asking for. There's been talks about only dealing with the state budget and COVID-19 response legislation, or doing COVID-19 response legislation as part of the budget process, and potentially limiting the number of policy bills that legislators can move forward. There does not seem to be consensus between the Senate and the Assembly, and it looks like things are changing every day, like everything that's happening right now with COVID-19. In terms of the budget, obviously the outlook is very different at this point than just a month ago. First, just moving tax day to July 15th provides a technical difficulty. Usually the governor, the administration sees the tax returns that come in on April 15th and can use that information in revising his proposed budget. He releases what's called the May revise in mid-May, which essentially makes adjustments to his original budget proposal. However, now taxes won't be due even until after the start of the new fiscal year on July 1st. And certainly far past the June 15th deadline to pass the state budget. So being able to model what money is coming in, particularly in this unprecedented time, is going to be difficult. And of course, we're expected to likely see a significant decrease in tax payments coming in. So as a result, the governor has already said that he's going to pursue a workload budget that essentially does not increase any current funding. And all departments have been told not to submit any budget increase proposals, including those that had already been in the works. The state does have a projected $21 billion dollars in reserves that is expected to help cushion the impacts, and is significantly more than what happened than the state had in the 2008 recession. And so there is some hope that it won't be as dire as what happened then, but obviously we won't know until we can see the long-term impacts of what's going to be happening to the state budget. And the governor is still planning to issue a revised budget in May, his May revise. And so with that, I will stop and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Christina. Really appreciate the update as things change daily. Any questions from directors? All right, don't see any questions, and we'll open this up to the public if there are any comments or questions from the public. *9, or you can type it in. All right, don't think there are any. So with that, appreciate that update.
Madam Chair, this is Michael Zaragoza. I did have one question.
Go ahead, Michael.
Christina, any thoughts on where this kind of takes us with Green Means Go? I mean, I know we're in a new reality right now, but just wanted to kind of get your thoughts there.
Yeah, it's an excellent question and something that we've been talking about and thinking about. I've been thinking about daily. I think we're definitely going to have to give it a little bit of time to see what is even going to be happening in terms of the state budget process. We are scheduling, checking in with our lobbyists regularly and working with them on next steps. All that to say, though, I don't think that this necessarily means that we shouldn't continue looking to the state for some of these resources. These are long-term planning and construction projects that are going to need to happen anyway, and really can help in terms of a stimulus for our region. And so perhaps maybe shifting this to looking at it more in terms of a stimulus type of a response. But these are the types of things that local jurisdictions are going to have to be doing anyway, and they're still going to be needing the resources now, if not more than ever. And so can continue, we think, to be looking to the state for that support. So that's just kind of our initial discussions, but obviously there's going to be a need for further conversation once we get a clear picture.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Director Saragosa, this is James. I also just want to say, I think while we were focusing so much of our efforts at the state level for the last year, because that's really been the, in terms of the state budgeting Green Means Go, obviously, based on what the Congress just did last week, as Christina mentioned, with the $2.2 trillion stimulus, I think the federal level now becomes very important once again, very quickly, right? And if there is a subsequent stimulus package, I think I would encourage all of us, and you'll probably see communication from us in the months ahead, to really more deeply engage. It's obviously too bad about cap to cap being postponed for now, but that communication with our federal members of Congress, the staff members, I think is going to be critical in terms of what our region needs, and critical in terms of, as Christina said, the potential stimulus and how our region can be prepared for any kind of stimulus funding in the months ahead.
And I'll just jump in and add too that there are already rumblings that a fourth, if and probably will happen, federal package. There's a lot of rumblings and pressure to include an infrastructure stimulus as part of that.
That makes sense. All right. Thank you, Christina. Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you very much. And with that, let's see. Any other matters on our agenda? Anything from staff? James, do you have anything? Eric?
I've got one, Bonnie.
Oh, and Lucas.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lucas.
That's okay. Yeah, thanks so much. It's kind of a tweener. James may have some additional comments as well about it, but it's so just want to give folks an update that the sort of mega region working group that we have some members of the board, SACOG board, but also this is a coordinated effort with the San Joaquin COG as well as MTC in the Bay Area. And so for the members of this board, the SACOG board that are participating are myself and directors Suin, Allard, and Saylor. And we had a last in-person meeting on February 21st in Tracy, which does frankly seem like a long time ago at this point. But a very good meeting, very successful with the MTC folks and the San Joaquin COG folks as well, and then a bunch of associated sort of transit agency partners and others, and actually some folks from the business community. And I think the thing that's really interesting, so we have a follow-up meeting coming soon on May 8th. It's going to be a virtual meeting, of course, but we still intending to plan an event for later this year, an in-person event. I mean, sort of in the fall, not quite sure obviously yet what that's going to look like, but I think it's really important. We've been having, there's a real desire to have a partnership, not just between the local governments, certainly at the MPO level, but also the business community, the Bay Area Council, the SAC Metro Chamber, GSEC, and the San Joaquin Economic Development Partnership. They're all very interested as well in seeing how they can be supportive of the MPOs and the local governments in sort of all the issues that sort of affect our three regions, or in these sort of individual regions, but sort of Northern California mega region. James and I, a couple weeks ago, before the shelter-in-place order went into effect, had a meeting with Keith Knopf, who is the CEO of Rayleigh's, and Chelsea Miner as well. And additionally, Amanda Blackwood was able to join us from the Metro Chamber. And Keith is representing Jim Wonderman from the Bay Area Council as well. He serves on both the boards. And so, and Rayleigh's, of course, does a lot of work here, of course, headquartered in our region, but also in the Bay Area as well. And at that point, they were very interested in the Bay Area Council specifically, but also the Metro Chamber in helping to fund some sort of advocacy effort here in Sacramento on behalf of the mega region. And Keith, at the time, so obviously, you know, things have changed in the world a little bit in the intervening weeks, but at the time, they were going to work on getting a number of some of the other Bay Area and Sacramento area companies to help fund a advocacy effort in Sacramento on behalf of the mega region. So working on, you know, I think the key is that we're going to be working on a number of issues that are legislative that relate to how to, you know, sort of do some coordination of our planning. So for example, the regional transportation plans, make sure that those things are aligned in terms of when they are due, the deadlines and such for the state. But also there are a lot of obviously quality of life issues. Of course, the issues of housing and transportation, traffic, and things like that are a pretty big issue for, you know, some of the companies as well, that obviously their employees are, you know, either working in the Bay Area, living in Sacramento region, or vice versa, as well as the goods movement issues as well. So very encouraged by that discussions and, you know, looking forward to the next steps come May. Obviously, you know, this situation that we're in right now has certainly, you know, sort of upended the apple cart, so to speak. But I'll stop there and just see. I know James may have some additional comments, and then perhaps members of the committee might have questions as well. So, thanks.
Thanks for the update, Lucas. James, do you have anything to add or anything else?
I think that was pretty comprehensive. Just that this is really the Policy Innovation Committee is really the home committee for this mega region working group. So I think you can look forward to additional updates. And we have 4 members of the board. It's Chair Frerichs, Director Allard, Director Soon, and Director Saylor, who are representing SACOG on this mega region working group. So as Director Frerichs said, the next meeting of the mega region group, it looks like it will be online May the 8th. And so look for more updates to this committee from that group. And I will say among the many things, including strengthening our power in Sacramento and making sure that Northern California gets what we need in terms of legislature. I want to hit on what Director Frerichs said in terms of aligning our transportation plan schedules just among the Bay Area, San Joaquin County, and the SACOG region. That's maybe a smaller thing, but it actually is something that there's a lot of interest from the electeds on that. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more updates in the months ahead.
Thanks, James. Any other updates from staff?
Chair Gore, I guess I just wanted to say I really appreciate both everybody being online today and moving to this. And I just want to say I really appreciate, we went to pretty quickly at SACOG, went to online and remote work on March 16th. We've definitely had our bumps like everybody else has. We've definitely, we've been on a steep learning curve, but as this is the Innovation Committee, I want to appreciate all the directors who, for the last several years now, have been part of trying to move us electronic, trying to move us to just doing everything that allowed us to make that shift pretty quickly. And I just want to offer, if there's any help that any of you need on your end from your sort of local governments or special districts or boards and committees on which you sit, we haven't figured it all out, but Eric here on our staff and others, I think would just be willing to help, issues big and small, on how to run the virtual meeting, how to do the public involvement and engagement and all the rest of that. So if anybody is interested, please let us know.
Great. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. It's terrific that work has been able to go on, and with a few bumps, but moving forward. With that, if there are no other comments or questions, then we have our next committee meeting on Monday, May 4th. And then we have a board of directors meeting in the month of April. I'm guessing that is correct, which is what, April 16th?
April 16th.
All right. Terrific. Then with that, we will adjourn. And if we don't talk to you before the 16th, we'll see you on the 16th.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
All right. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Good day.
Thanks.